Hi, good afternoon, everyone. Sorry, good evening, good morning, good day, everyone. I'm sorry, please, can I am I audible enough? Can anyone hear me? You can use the emoji session to give. You can react with emojis. Yeah, thank you. All right, thank you very much. Thank you very much. So, good day, everyone. Okay, so I think we can start now. All right, good day, everyone.
Good day.
Sorry. Okay, Samuel, do you have anything to say?
All
Okay.
right, just a good day.
Okay. Yeah, someone was using it. Isn't. Thank you very much. Thank you everyone for being here. I'm really happy to see everyone of you here. My name is Roy Max Mustafa, and I'm a Microsoft Learn Student Ambassador, Federal University of Technology, Mina. And I'm joining you from Abuja. So I would like every one of us to give introduction. Tell us your name, where you're joining from. You can turn on your mic or maybe use the chat box for that. So we wait for others to join in. Okay. So I'll I'll put Oka.
All right, good day, everybody. My name is Okar Fabian, aka the Wise. That's my name, and I'm speaking from Niger State.
Well, thanks thanks for joining us, Oka. It's nice
Thank
having you here.
My pleasure.
Okay, I'm still waiting. Please let's use the mic now to hear everyone's voices. I'm so happy to have you all here. Oh my god, why are you guys doing like this now? Okay, you can use the chat box, Sha. Alright, let me see if you have any message. Okay,
Hello, everyone.
alright. Naomi, good evening. Thanks for joining, Naomi. So I'll just maybe start calling.
Thank you.
Yes, okay, thank you. So we have Abigail in the building. Thanks for joining, Abigail. Angela Onjiko, thank you for joining us. Okay, thank you. Daku Favor, really appreciate. David Dada, Samuel Eniola. Wow, nice having you here. Emmanuel, Emanuela Felix, thanks for joining. Soup Zakaria, thanks for joining. Salisu Abdulhamid, thanks for joining. God's Power, we're happy to have you here. Frank Idbilidike, Ibrahim, thanks for joining. We have Jamila. Wow. Okay, we have Jemima too. Thank you very much for joining. We have Jibril Abdullahi. Okay, Angela Onjiko from Kenya. Thanks for joining. Sorry, I'm unable to talk from here. Okay, thank you very much. I love the messages coming in. Thank you. Hello, TJ Sunin. Ah, sorry. Thanks for joining. Jamila from Abuja. Mamadu Nimaga. Thanks for joining. We have Miriam from Lagos. Ha, all the way from Lagos. Thank you very much, everyone. So we still have some minutes left for us to kickstart this. So yeah, Miriam, Peter, Samuel from Mina. Thanks for joining. Let me see. We have so many amazing people here. And I'm so happy to see you all. Emanuela from Asabaha. You tried to. Thank you very much for joining us here. Salome from Abuja. Thank you very much for joining. Peter, thank you very much for joining us. Hi. Ha, God, my boss is here. God. Thank you very much, boss, for coming. So happy to have you here, boss. Okay, from Mali, Mahmoud. Okay, thank you very much for coming, Mamado. Larry Oluwase from Ilorin. Wonderful. Thank you very much. Okay, someone is joining from outer space. Wow, that's it. Thank you very much for joining us. John Osezra. Thank you very much. Ibrahim Abubakar from Niger State. Lovely. Thank you very much for joining. I can't thank you all. Okay. Wait, Jemima. Okay. Oh, so they have. So nobody wants to us to hear their voice. Why are you guys doing like this now? Please turn on your mic and just speak. Please, I want to hear you guys' voice. I'm tired of speaking. Yeah.
Um, Good afternoon, everyone. I'm Samuel, and I'm joining from Lagos.
Good. Samuel Bangula. Good. Okay. My big boss is here. Our boss in the building, Microsoft. Thank you very much for coming, big boss. All right.
Hello,
Hi.
I'm Favor. I'm Favor from Abuja.
Thank you very much, Favor. I love your voice. Thank you very much for joining. Abdul
Thank
Kabir
you.
Adewori. Can see you. Thank you very much for joining my big boss. Ah, all my bosses are just here. Abigail Ibrahim. Thank you very much for joining us. Samuel Ruben. Samuel Ruben, are you saying anything?
No. What your? I mean your own. I give you my own now. I sell it.
Samuel Ruben, your mic is on. Success. Yeah, good evening.
Good evening.
Thank you very much for joining us. Do you want to say anything? Thank you.
Hold up your spotlight and point it to the left. Do you see anything coming?
Okay.
No, not on the left. Now point your spotlight to the right.
Thank you.
Finally, point your spotlight to the middle.
All right. Am I still audible?
Yeah, you're audible.
All right. Thank you very much, everyone. So, good evening, good morning, good afternoon from anywhere you're joining us. Good day. So, everyone, yeah, thank you very much for coming. Thank you, everyone, for joining. Um, it's so fantastic to see you all here today. My name is Roy Max Mustafa, like I said earlier, and I'm a Microsoft Learn Student Ambassador. Federal University of Technology, Mina, and I'll be your co-host for this exciting session. Version Control Demystified, a guide to Git and GitHub for open source contributions. So today we are going to dive into what Git and GitHub is all about. We're going to explore how these tools can help power open source contributions. So I know maybe many of us here we don't really know what Git and GitHub is all about. So we'll be exploring how these tools can help us power what open source is all about and how to contribute to open source. So whether you are new to Git or GitHub or you are a seasoned contributor, this session has something for you. And we have our wonderful speaker in person of Eniola Alao. She is also a Microsoft Learn Student Ambassador, Federal University of Technology, Mina. She is a computer engineering student at FUT Mina, and also she's passionate about front-end development, artificial intelligence, and machine learning. Wow, my boss, isn't that wonderful? So she'll give us a brief she'll give us she'll share some insight about what Git and GitHub is all about. And at the end of the session, we'll be having a Kahoot session. That's the most exciting part of it. So by the end of the session, I believe we would have a clearer understanding of how to use Git and GitHub, and also we'll be ready to dive into open source projects with full confidence. So let's not forget, if you have any questions, please you should note them down now. We'll be having a question and answer session towards the end of the call. Okay. So Eniola, are you okay? Are you set? Can we jump into it now? Hello? Okay, I can't hear you, Eniola. Can anyone hear me?
No, it isn't all the.
Yeah, I think it's true. Can you hear?
Okay, so can you hear Eniola?
Okay, let me see. Can you hear me now?
Okay, yeah, I can hear you.
Can you hear me now?
Yes, I can.
Yeah.
Hello, can anyone hear me?
Yes, I
Oh,
can hear you, Eniola.
Can you
Yes,
hear me
we
now?
can hear you.
Okay, hi everyone. Can you okay. All right, good evening, everyone.
Good evening.
Good evening, everyone.
Good
good
evening,
evening.
Okay,
Eniola.
how are we doing today?
Yeah, good
I
evening.
hope you are good. Thank you so much for making it this session. Let me just share my slide quickly.
All right.
Can we all see
Yeah, we can
my
see.
screen? Can we all see my screen? And can we
Yes,
hear?
yes, we can see your screen, Eniola.
Thanks so
Yes, we
much.
can see your
So,
screen.
all right. So, hello everyone. My name is Alao Eniola. I'll be your speaker for today's meeting. As Rohimat has gladly told you, I'm an Alpha Microsoft Learn Student Ambassador, and I'm a computer engineering student at FUT Mina, that's Federal University of Technology Mina. I'm passionate about front-end development and anything AI, machine learning as well. So once again, I want to appreciate everyone for making it to this webinar. Okay. All right. So let's get into the flow of things. So before we talk about the agenda for today's meeting, um, as Rahima said, we'll take a question and answer session a little bit later so that we will not disrupt the flow of the presentation that we are currently. So, but feel free to always ask questions, to ask your questions in the chat box, or you can just wait till the question and answer session. All right, so let's get into the agenda for today. So the first thing on our agenda is explaining what version control is all about so that we can fully grasp the idea. Okay, then we'll talk about Git, essentially, how to install its various commands, and then we'll work on a project together where we'll work on local and remote repositories. But don't worry, we'll learn about what repositories are. So after that, we'll explain what open source is, and we'll all work together to contribute to an open source project. So I'm sure this will be fun. I'm sure a lot of people have questions on what open source is about or how to get started with open source. But Microsoft Learn Student Ambassadors are here for you so that we can help you to these concepts and not just understand, but to get started in it. So let's go. What exactly is version control? Well, let's use a simple term to explain this. So let's say there are groups of friends, let's say 3 players now, who are playing a game together. And in this game, the goal of the game is to see who conquers the largest land or the largest territory. But the game is too complex for them, as you can see, because whenever they move a piece or whenever they conquer the land, they can't really track it. So or whenever they pause the game to continue the next day, they can't really remember the places or the lands that they've conquered. So the simple solution they thought of was to take a picture. So whenever they are tired of playing the game for that day, they will take a picture of the game so that they can play it another day. And playing it that day, they will continue essentially from where they stopped. So in this image that they've taken, there are 3 things that are documented essentially why they are taking the image. First of all, the time. When exactly was the image taken? Another thing is about it is who took it, essentially whether it was player 1 that took the picture or player 2 or player 3. And then the third thing about it is the location of each piece. When they take the picture, at least they will be able to know where each piece was before they ended it. So the point of this image is always to have a safe point to get back to. Maybe something went wrong when they were playing the game, and instead of them to start the game all over, they would rather go back to where they took the picture last, essentially. So the idea of this safe point is exactly what version control is all about. So let's bring it to now our practical terms. So while you are coding, you enter a point in your code where you really messed up the code, and the only way you can fix it is actually to delete the whole thing. And can you just imagine that long line of code? You will not have to essentially delete it because you maybe integrated a new feature into the code. But instead of deleting the whole code and then starting all over, that doesn't have to happen. What you can do, like the players, is to essentially save the document at a point, which is essentially saving your code at a point, so that when you've made let's say you've already saved your code essentially, and then you now decided to make the changes. Now you can always go back to that initial point where you saved your code before you made those changes that ruined your code essentially. So that's what version control is all about: a safe point for each step of your code or while coding. So let's see what version control systems is all about. So there are 2 types of version control system. There is the centralized version control, system, and then the distributed version control system. Well, in the centralized, there is only one device and it only has one version of the code. So in essentially, when you are trying to work on a code in a centralized version control system, each device doesn't have the current, let's say, memory of the code. They're essentially working from what they've gotten from, let's say, the remote repository at this point, but it's not really the current. So each person works on a code that isn't really the updated code or has integrated the new feature. While the distributed version control system, this shares all the new features that you have, which means all the systems within the device has the new feature for of the code essentially, and you can work on it at the same time. So that is so now that we've explained what version control is, that's just like having a safe point for all your code, for your code basically, while coding. Git is essentially a version control tool. So this allows you to have each step of your different versions of your code essentially on your device, while GitHub is a platform. So it's a service platform that hosts your Git projects essentially. So let's see how we can get to Git. So because today is more of a practical session of what's of what's of how to get started with Git. I'll be sharing this PowerPoint slide in the chat section so that we can all have access to this. And also, we will not be following this installation process because installing Git is actually quite easy. You can just go to this URL and download it and just follow these steps that is right now on your screen to download Git, because it's actually as easy as downloading an application. All right, so what we'll be doing today is more of a hands-on on maybe getting started with Git and contributing to an open source project. So you can, the video will be, that is the recording video will be accessible to everyone, and you can always follow along as I am demonstrating in this webinar right now. Maybe you can get your laptop and also follow as I'm coding, or you can always rewatch the recording later. So there are several terminologies when it comes to Git, and Git is essentially a command line. Okay, so it has its own set of commands, and wow, there are so many, let's say, commands that you have with Git, but don't worry, we've got you. This PowerPoint has a compiled all the most popular Git commands. So we have the terminal commands and all the essential Git sheets. So everything has been compiled for you. So anything that you actually need to get started with Git is here. Okay. So okay, so let's start with this. So one thing about Git is that you can just open it, and once you open Git on your, once you've installed it, you can open Git on your system and essentially follow these commands to create a new directory, touch to create files in that directory. So let's say the directory is a folder now essentially. So if you if you type this in your command line, then you can, what's it called, you can create a directory. Using touch, you can create a file. Using ls, you can move within one file or the other, and using rm, you can either remove a file or remove a directory, and cd is just to move in between different directories or folders in this case. And code is just to open a file within a directory, and then pwd is just to print where you are. I know that I'm speaking a lot of English right now, but let's see this in action. So let's say you've already downloaded Git in your system. You've installed Git, rather. You've installed Git and everything works. You've successfully installed Git and you follow the whole process. One thing you should see is once you right click on your system, you should be able to see this. Okay, and so let's open git bash. I hope you can still see my screen.
Yes, we can see your screen.
Okay, so right now we've opened git bash, and if you look into our PowerPoint slide, you can see that there are so many things to get started with Git essentially. So I'm just following it. Always go back and look into the compiled Git cheat sheet. But let's start something right here, right now, so that at least you'll be able to understand what Git is all about, at least the command. So once you've installed Git into your system, essentially what you would like to do is to hit Git config. Now I've already installed Git, I've already done my own configuration and everything. So if you hit git list, yeah, okay, so this tells us all the things that all the configurations that you can make with Git. So if you check the cheat sheet that I said is for free for every one of you that have registered, will be sent in the chat, but you'll be able to essentially customize your own Git. So I've already customized my own. So you can see that in the username, it has essentially username, it has my name, it has my email, and these are essentially the two things that you actually need when you need to just change whenever or configure it when you are getting started with Git. Just your name and your email, so that you can have that. But for you, there will be nothing here if you git type in git config. But for me, it already has my name and email. So all what you have to do is that when you follow the Git cheat sheet, you'll be able to input your name, input your email. At least those are the two fundamental things that you have to do, and then you can get started with Git. Okay. So with all this, let's mention all those commands that we just saw now. So if you type clear, it will clear up all this long thing that we have, and so that we will not get confused. So we are trying to be programmers now. So let's work like programmers. So let's create a directory. And as we go, I'll further explain what I'm trying to do. So if I say, okay, let me move this here. And if I say make dir, which is essentially making a directory, and let's call that, which is essentially making a folder now, and let's call that let's call it let's call it MLSA VDC, and that's essentially Microsoft Learn Student Ambassadors version control demystified. So let's just, you can name whatever file you want. And oh wow, as you can see, once I said make directory, it created a folder here for us to work with. And that's one of the powerful things about Git. So when we say, so let's say we want to work on a simple project now, and want to create a file. Let's say you're a front-end developer like me, and you just want to do the basic, have work on HTML, CSS, and JavaScript now. So that's what we're going to do. So if you click essentially touch, let's say we want to create a, okay, well, we have to, so like we said, once if you click CD right now, you would move into the directory we just made. As you can see, based off of what is up here, we are still in the desktop part of the system essentially. So if you say CD and we click ML, like, or you can click MLSA in full, VCD essentially. If you just click on it, and or like I said, if you just do ML and you hit tab on your system, it would auto-complete for you. And if you click enter, you can see that now we are not just in desktop, but now we are now inside the folder or inside the directory. So if we click, if we want to create, okay, so if you click PWD, as we said, it's tell us essentially where we are. Let's say you didn't know by looking here, something like that, and you want to know where you are, and you click PWD, it tells you, okay, you are in users, in Chemi, in desktop, in MLSA, exactly. So that's, so now let's create a file. So to create a file in your Git bash, you just click touch. That's for people using Windows now. You click you type touch, and you essentially say, let's create our index.html file now. I hope we are all following along. Okay, so just like that, we've created a file inside our directory. So if you click ls, and all these commands are in the PowerPoint slide I will share. If you click ls now and you click enter, it tells you the files that are inside that directory, that are inside that folder, and that's pretty amazing. So now let's, well, like I said, want to just do a simple project, and all what we need is not just normal HTML. So let's create more what's it called, more files inside. So I also want a CSS and a JavaScript file, essentially. So you can see that I can create more files within the same line, and not necessarily having to say touch every time. So if I just do that, so if you just click that, boom, it has already created two more files within our directory, or within our folder. So if I click ls again, or type ls again, we now have three files in one folder. So if I click code to, let's open the index.html file. Okay, before we do this, you can always I'm about to do something. I'm about to go to my VS Code instead, because I found that it's easier to follow compared to this. But whatever I do in my VS Code terminal can still be replicated using your Git bash. So let me open my VS Code. Okay, let's just click this to open VS Code. Okay, so once you say code index.html, it will open your VS Code or your IDE, essentially. That is also after you've configured your VS Code to it. And oh wow, it is already opening it. So let's say bye bye to Git bash for here. Okay. And now you can see that it has opened index.html for us. I hope we are all following. Let's cancel this, because okay, it has not finished. Okay, let's just go back here. Okay, let's just close that using that. Okay, so now we are now in our VS Code essentially, but let's all the way from our terminal. So let me just copy the whole file here so that we can easily move one file and the largest. Okay, and the last be so cool. Okay. Sorry, I think my system is lagging. I just want to copy this in here. Okay. And then now it should copy. So let me maximize this so that won't save time. Won't save time rather. And I don't think it has copied. Let me just do that one more time. Copy here. Okay. I'm sorry for that. So we are opening Visual Studio Code because I want to continue from where we are in VS Code. All right, so now we're in VS Code and I want to work on um, um, our, let's say, our projects now together. We want to work on our project together. And so if let's open our terminal. Okay, now we've opened our terminal in VS Code. Now, whatever I do in this terminal, you can still do it on your Git bash. The only reason why I'm opening it here in VS Code, I did a practice session and my system was just not cooperating when I was doing it bash and opening my video side by side. All right,
Sorry,
HTML.
hello,
Shall we? Let us.
Anila. Sorry, Manuela. Please, can you mute your mic?
Oh, I'm so sorry.
Thank you. Go on, please, Anila. Sorry. Okay, am I the only one or I can't hear Eniola?
Yes, can hear it too.
Okay. Eniola, if you're speaking, we can't hear you. I think this is her network. Hello? Eniola, can you hear us? Okay, I
Yeah,
think.
I think your mic is not working. Can you try to maybe mute on mute?
Victor, sorry, I can't hear you. Can you hear her?
It seems Eniola's mic
Okay.
wasn't
I don't,
working. Maybe she should try to mute and unmute.
yeah, or maybe you can join back. Maybe you should go off and join back. I don't even know if she can hear you.
Yeah, yeah, she just muted and unmuted now.
Okay, so I think we are having a little challenge here. So while we wait for her to join in back, can we I said before the whole technical delay, can we share our favorite Git command? So if anyone, any of the command that she said earlier, if you have any favorite one, you can share it. You can use the chat box. Okay, so maybe I should start. So I think I would say git pull. Okay, so I'll be expecting more. Can anyone hear me? Okay, cd. Success said cd. Salisu git clone. Git init. I don't know, but how many of us, or maybe I don't know if I'm the only one, have challenging writing commit messages?
Yeah,
Like I don't know, but I don't like writing it. I don't
Hello,
even
can you
like.
hear
I
me?
don't. Okay, okay. I think she's here. All right,
Hello, can you
Eniola,
hear me?
welcome back. Yeah, we can hear you.
Okay, I'm so sorry for that technical difficulty. I'm so sorry. I
Sure, sure.
really
No problem.
apologize. I
Sure,
don't know
no
what happened.
problem.
Just share my screen so that
All
we
right.
can see from where we stopped. I hope you are all following though.
Yeah, we are following. You can see from the chat box, we are sharing our favorite Git command. So, my boss, oh my God, the whole community manager is on this call. 3MTT community manager, Godwin. He said his favorite Git command is Git merge. Peter, Git init. Salisu said git merge, git commit. Ah, God, I don't like this git commit message. No, please don't bring it because I don't know what will follow the message. Okay, somebody said I don't like git pull. All right. Okay, yeah, I guess. Okay, so you said because you pushed a bug, touch. Wow. Okay, so what's Logan? Ha 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 ha. All right. So Enela, are we good to go? Okay, so Samuel, you are raising up your
Yeah,
hand.
we um,
Hi Samuel, can you hear me? Do you want to say anything, Samuel? Okay, I think you can hear me. All right, Eniola, please move on. Thank you very much. So thank you everyone for your
okay.
inputs. So we can continue now. Thank you.
All right. Thank you so much, everyone. That's amazing, actually. All right, so I apologize once more for the technical difficulty, and let's continue from where we stopped. So if we just go to back to our VS Code, we can see that now we are in our desktop. Essentially, we are in file. If you essentially say git init, this will initialize git inside this our directory, this our MLSA folder essentially. So if you git init within our, remember whatever I do in this terminal command, you can do it in the bash that we opened on our Windows desktop place. All right, so now Git has now been initialized, and one thing about VS Code and Git is that they work hand in hand, and um, you can essentially see the progress that you're making at each step, or whether you committed a message or you've not yet committed and things like that. So now we've initialized Git. Now let's go back and let's explain what Git is. Now we've seen how um we can use the all these commands essentially in our terminal. So and now we're going to be working with the different Git commands. I hope you can hear me.
Yes, we can.
Okay, so let's see how Git works essentially. So what we just did now is just we created a folder, we created some files that we want to work with, and now we want to now go to the point of that version control that we talked about, ensuring that we save each point of our code. So let's see how Git works. Let's see how we can actually save our code at each point in time. So how does Git work essentially? Well, in Git, there are three stages. There's something we call the working directory, which that is where we are now. Which that is what we've created, that folder, that MLSA folder essentially. And then there is a staging area. That is just a point between saving that code and it's just a bridging gap between your working directory and your local repository. So it's just like a let's say just the middle of your code is not yet saved, but is in the process of getting saved, essentially in your local repository. So let's continue. So what did we do in our working directory, which is what we did now? We created a file. In this case, it's new text file, but what the files we created is our index.html, style.css, and our main.javascript. Now, these files that we have in our working directory, now I want to move it to our staging area now. And how do we do that? Well, by saying git add, and then you mention the name of the file that you want to add to your staging area. And once you do that, it will come to like a bridging gap between you saving and saving your file. But once it's in this staging area, your file is not yet saved. So from this staging area, now we want to save our file because that's the whole process of Git. So how we do that is by saying git commit. So we just commit that file, put a message in it, which is basically what we added to the file, or what the file is about, or maybe the changes that we made in the file. And then you commit that, it gets saved to your local repository. Now, essentially what we have done now is this. We have our file in our working directory already. So what we want to do now is, let's go ahead and add that file to our staging area, and then commit that file to our local repository. All right, so let's go back to our VS Code. And yes, so you can see that I actually made like a simple wording, which is just welcome everyone, because why not? Let's all be nice. And let's say essentially you would have done so much than what I've just done right now, but this is will I say just a practice of how to commit messages or save in your Git repository. So what is a Git repository? Is just basically a place where you save your directory, a place where you save all your files. And let's do what we said. So let's add this. So the simple command is just to say git add. Now if you say git add and put a dot, it will add everything. It will add your index.html, it will add your main.js, it will add your styling.css. So but let's say what we just want to add right now is our index.html, because that is where we made at least a little improvement on right now. So okay, so let's enter that. And just like that, we've added our index.html file to our Git staging area. But how do we know whether it is saved or not, or it is in that staging area? Well, you can just say git status, and always you can follow along with your own project if you don't know how to essentially have if you don't know how to, if you've never worked with Git or before, or you want to contribute to your first open source project, you can always follow along as I'm going. Git status, it tells us, okay, we've not made any commits yet, but we have a file that is in our staging area, a new file that has been there, and then we still have two files that has not been staged yet. So but we've not had any commits. So let's do a commit right now. So let's commit that and say git commit -m, and that will be, let's call it initial commit. Well, essentially it would be better if I said add title, because that's what I did. Like I added a header title, but let's just call this git commit. Sorry, let's call it initial commit rather. So that would be essentially the message. So the point of git commit is to have a message for each step you make. So for example, you improved your code by, let's say you added well, let's say in this case you added styling to it. So your commit message would have been add styling, or you can make it even more specific than that. But usually commit messages aren't long. So let's just make this commit. Ooh, okay. So we've made this commit message now, and how do we know whether this message has been committed? Well, we say git log, and once we click on git log, wow, now this is one of the amazing things about git commit. Now once you hit your once you commit a message, it tells you, it gives a unique will I say ID? Yes, ID to your commit. It tells you the author who actually made this commit, and it tells you the time and date. So it's pretty much like the example that we made of the players who were playing the game and they needed to know which point they are at every point in time. So in this unique ID, we usually call it a hash. And then you can always, for example, if you've made, let's say, like 10 commits and you want to go back to, and let's say you're in your 10th commit and you want to go back to maybe your second commit or something like that, you can always say git checkout and then just copy this hash and paste it here, and then it takes you back to this commit. But we're not going to do that right now. So we're going to use our git checkouts somewhere else. So what git checkouts are and things like that is in our PowerPoint slide. So let's continue with what we are doing right now. So now we've committed a file and it tells us the unique ID, the author, and the date, and essentially the commit message. So for example, now let's
By December 31st.
I think someone's
Sorry,
messaging.
sorry. Can you mute your mic, Naomi?
Okay, so the Python bootcamp, it's a bootcamp designed specifically
Okay,
for beginners.
Samuel. Okay,
Well, I'm
sorry.
not
Open
doing
up
the
your mic.
bootcamp, so I'm just preparing so that we can have enough
Naomi.
materials
Oh my God.
and have the instructors ready. And
Sorry. We can mute her from here. Okay, thank you. Eniola, please go on.
Okay. All right. Thank you so much, Rahimat. Okay, so now what I've done is that I've committed a message, but I now decided to link my CSS file. And in this CSS file, let's just, I don't know, to our header, let's just create a column. I don't know, for some reason, when I what's it called? When I'm sharing my screen, my VS Code does not autocomplete. So I have to do everything manually. So I've essentially changed my color. So this is supposed to appear blue now by the host this. But now I've added a styling to it. So let's commit that now. Let's commit that as a git. Okay, let's add that to our staging area. We've not added that file. So if you say git add, now at this point I would actually like to add everything because I made changes in my index.html and style.css, and I think I also want to at this point push my main.css or add my main.css to my local repository. So by that, like we said, we just say git add, and then I just click dots to add everything. And just like that, we've added all the files to our what's it called, to the staging area. So if you now hit your git status to check whether we've actually added this, you can see that okay, we've added all these things. And one thing about git is that it tells us whether what we've done in one of our files that we've added or committed to this. So it tells us that, okay, index.html has been modified. Why? Because we attached our CSS, we linked our CSS to it. So let's commit, and essentially the only thing that I did um, was to add styling. So I just say add styling to header. So that was basically what I did. But if you want to, a commit message usually should be short. But if you made, let's say, if you want to be detailed about the commits that you made and you hit git commit normally, like what this does is that it opens Vim editor. So that's another like IDE, and it helps you to also put the commit message that you want, but also add other things to your commits if you want to maybe say more about it. So I'm going to do put what I said before, which is um, add styling. And what I said was change. What did I do? I change um let, let me just say the header. Okay, no, let's just say change the, let me just say text color, because that was what I did. So what this does is that it adds more messages to this your commit. Now it's still going to show add styling as your commit message, but what this does is that it has much more detailed like a message of what you actually did. So I'm just using this as an example, but this is essentially how you do it. So you click escape and you just do column WQ and click enter, and that has been committed. So if we click our what's it called, our git log this time, let's see all the commits that we've made. Okay, wow. So it tells us that we made a commit before. We had a commit. This was our first commit, and this was our second commit, and our first commit had what's it called, this was our first commit, this was the message, but this was our second commit, and it's essentially said add styling. I think I was supposed to put another paragraph, but essentially this change color is not supposed to show, change text color is not supposed to show. So let's move on with it. Okay, so one thing that we've done now is that now we've added all these our files to our local repository, like we've seen PowerPoint slide. Now all our files are now here. All our files are now here. But okay, so what we want to do now about that is we've added it to our local repository, but it's something that that is also called a remote repository. But before we get into that, let's see what open source is all about, so that from the remote repository I can further explain what maybe open source is and things like that. So open source is very easy, so you don't have to look like this guy in this picture here. And so this is essentially what we've done, and based off of my judgment, you are now a Git master, but not yet. Now what we want to do is to go push all what we've done to our remote repository. So all what we said about version control is what we've done. So now you can add more to your file, add more to your files, add more changes to your code and things like that, and then you can commit that at every point in time. And if you make any mistake, like I said, you can always say git checkout. So there's something that I want us to do essentially, and I want us to talk about Git branches before we go into remote repositories. Now, so let's go back to our VS Code and quickly. So if you say Git branch, it tells us that we are in our master branch. So Git branches is just a form to explain how Git works. So for example, you want to make some changes, but let's say it's the probability of it failing is very, very high, and you don't want to tamper with your master branch essentially. If you want to make those changes, what you do is to create another branch essentially. And if you want to do like open source contributions, what you would rather do is to create a branch, make your difference there, and then just push that. So let's create a branch. So I select once I typed git branch, it told me the list of branches that we had. So now I want to create another branch. So I say git branch, and let's just call that the new branch that we want to create, experiments. So now I've created the experiment branch, and if I get say git branch again, tell me the list, how many branches we have in this our directory. So we have 2 branches right now. So we have both the master and the experiment, but you can see this asterisk here. It tells us where exactly we are, and even this as well. It tells us that we are currently in our master branch. So I'm starting from the beginning because when we did this survey for this um webinar, about 80 to 90% were either had no experience with Git and GitHub or are beginners. So that's why we are starting from the ground up essentially. So now that we've said what Git, explain what Git branches are, now I want to go to the experiment branch that I said. So like we did before, to move in and out, we'll say Git checkout. So we want to move to the experiments branch. And okay, now we're in the experiment branch now. Okay. Okay. So now we're in the experiment branch, and it doesn't seem like anything has changed because, like we said, this is Git, and every change that we make is saved. So let me say I want to make a commit in this new branch. Let me link my main.js to it. Now, all what I'm doing now is now in my experiments branch. You can see that now this part of my VS Code has turned to experiment. And if I say git branch again, it tells us where in the branch, in all the branches we have, where am I? So it tells us that, oh, wow, you can see that the asterisk moved from the master to the experiment branch. So now let's make the changes. Now let's say I want to make a change in the main.js part of it. So let's say I want to, maybe when you click on the header, it would change color essentially. So let's just say, okay, let's just say var, let's just call it the type, and sorry, and let's call it document, selector. My VS code is not autocomplete. This is torture. So this is what we're going to do now. And let's say we want to make sure that when you click on that header message, it should essentially change color. So let's just say H1. Okay, so what we want to do is title dot event listener, listener, which is essentially a click, and let's put a change color, because why not? Color So I want to make that a function, but let's make that function here so that whenever you change, click on it, it would change column. It would change column. All right, so the title dot before, let's just say it's purple now. Purple. Okay, now it is purple. And yeah, so now we've added some JavaScript code to this now. And so whenever you click on your essentially, now let's commit this. Let's just say git add. And you're in another web now, we'll test that code out. So now let's add it that staging area. Okay, so now let's commit that, and our commit message should be what, let's say add click events. That was what we did. So now let's commit that. Okay, if you see what we just did now is we've just committed the use that we've made in our
Sorry,
experiments
Tunde, can you mute your mic?
directory essentially.
Okay, let me just do it from my end. Please, Eniola, go on.
Okay, so okay, sorry. So now we've committed that changes in our experiments, branch. Oh my goodness. In our experiment branch. So now let's go back to our master. And then let's just see what happened. Okay, so that's strange. I mean, we've linked our main.js and it's no longer here. And if you check on our main.js again, all the changes are made here. That's because we've not merged these trees. And that is one thing about Git. The merge your changes. Now, I made changes in the experiments branch, and it turns out, let's say my code works and it actually makes sense. So I'd like to merge that to my main or master branch in this case. So how do I do that? Well, we'll just hit git merge, and we would like to merge so we are merging from the master branch, but we're merging from the master branch, and we'll merge that to the experiments branch. Okay, now it's telling us what we've added, what we removed, and things like that. So it told us that, well, we've added 7 more lines of JavaScript code, and we added something to our index.html. Now, there are different things that you can do with Git. You can say git diff when you've made a change, when you've modified your what's it called, what's it called, your branch or your files. Now this is not supposed to work because I've actually merged it now. So let's say you've made some changes and you've added it, but not yet committed. You can run your git diff and to tell you, oh, what you've added, what you've changed, and things like that. So now that we've merged this our experiments branch, if we go back again to our index.js, you can see that everything that we've worked on is here, and it has been merged together. So going back to our PowerPoint slide, now I want to work on remote repositories. Now, essentially how Git works with GitHub. So now everything that we've worked on is now saved in our local repository, and we want to move it to our remote repository. Now, how we do that essentially is that we say git push, but we have to go and create a remote repository first on our GitHub. And then once we've done that, we can push that file. So let's go back to our, okay, let's go back to our VS Code. And what I want to do now is I want to push all this I've made to our repository. So let me open. So we are also going to have account. So what we want to do is we can go here to create a new repository. And while you're in your GitHub to create a new repository, now we want to get started with essentially what open sources and open source project. Yeah, so now we are creating a repository in our GitHub so that we can push our Git repository, our Git files essentially to GitHub. So let's name this MLSA project because I need to be more creative with my name. So okay, so there's something that is called ignore. This is to add that you don't want to get committed while you're changing, while you're pushing it to this your server, essentially to this cloud platform. So if you have things like API keys that you don't want people to copy or to use, you can always have Git in place. So add just anybody that checks your remote request. So let's say just put account MC Pro. So let's now click our repository now, and this is pretty good. One thing that that okay, because I can have it helps to actually summarize a series of commands that we can use to push our projects, our remote repository into our GitHub account. So let's go back to this. So what we want to essentially do is to push to our remote repository, and then okay. So once we push to our remote repository, is accessible to anybody. So let's say, for example, your all your local repository magically everything just gets deleted, you can't recover anything or something like that, but you have pushed that to your remote repository. Now you can get everything back because it's on a different platform. So let's go back to our okay, so let's go back to okay, well, let's go back to okay, yes. So now let's add all what's let's all Bob has told us to do, and then just copy it. It's as simple as that. Just copy all what they said here in this your terminal to be able to push to this your remote repository. Now you would have you would have already, like we said, configured your Git with your email and your name. So now we say git remote dot add origin and then put the unique the URL. So you can copy that here, and let's say git remote add origin. So let's say that. So let's copy it one by one. Git remote add origin. I hope you all understand me. If there's any question that you have now, you can actually say something before we go into contributing to open source projects. But now what we want to do is we are pushing an open source. We want to essentially push this our project to GitHub, which is an open source platform. And now we are getting into how to essentially contribute to open source and things like that. So does anybody have any questions, first of all, before I continue with this?
So, do we have any questions? But I feel we should just finish off everything before we start with the questions. So, we'll round up
All
fast.
right.
Yeah.
All right. Okay.
And
So no problem.
Abdullah, please, you can
So
just
now,
note down your question. We'll do that during the question and answer session. Thank you.
later. All right. All right. So now let's just follow the steps that we've gotten from our GitHub. And now we've copied and we've pasted that URL here. And what to say, we said git remote add origin. That's exactly, we essentially copied everything that was here. All right, so let's click enter. Now let's continue with that and say git. So the following step that we said we should measure is to create a branch. So git branch dash m main. So let's do that, git branch m main. So what this happens is that GitHub actually recognizes not master but main as its name. So what this essentially does is that it's to change this that says master now to main. Okay, and that should work now. Okay, and now we want to still, so the last line of code, which is git push dash u origin main. So let's do that, git push dash u origin. So that's git push main. So now we want to push this to our GitHub, our remote repository. So we created and now we want to push. So we click enter. And while we wait for Git to respond. So what we essentially did now is that we've pushed this now to our remote repository. Wow, it's telling me an error. Okay, let's do that again. Let me initialize it and still say git origin main. Hope it doesn't throw us that error again. And all right, so just need for and what should happen is that it should push that to our remote repository. Let me also, oh my goodness, let me put that side by side. Okay. Okay, I think it's running now. Okay. I don't know why it's taking so long. I hope my network is good. Let me click escape on this so that I'm sure that everything is working fine. Okay, maybe it has even pushed. Let me refresh my GitHub. Okay, no, there's not been pushed yet. Okay, so let me close this and do a and open it again. Apologies, it will respond. So what we've done now, we've done our cars using it, we've saved and we've added, we've forget things like that. Now we want to push that to our remote repository where everything that we've saved, every stage that we've committed will now be saved onto the a remote repository. That's a repository that we can get outside of our system, like outside of this our desktop. So let's initialize Git again in this place, and let's follow the steps that we did before. So which is let's follow it step by step, which is okay. Let me just leave it like this instead, so that it will be easier for us to follow. Okay. So we can say add and copy the URL again. So say git remote add origin. So say git remote add origin. Let's do that again and paste that by right clicking. Okay. It's telling us that we've already done that. Okay. And let's put it step by step because I don't know where it is. So git branch. Trying to learn how to spell. All right. Let's be sure that everything is working step by step. And so we just say git push shoe origin main. Okay. Okay, I think it's even sending us main from the beginning, so there was no need. I think what I should have done was to push. So okay, so git push. And now this should get pushed to our GitHub. Yeah. So now it's telling us that it's been pushed. So let's go back to our file. Let's go back to our GitHub and let's refresh. So now Oh yeah, that's great. So now you can see that everything that all of us have and it's made. So it means that all things we've done in our Gits has been essentially just pushed from our Gits, that is from our local repository to our remote repository, and all the events that all the commits that we made. So let's see how it looks like. Let's go to inside. Let's see how branches work. So let's go to inside. Network. It shows a visual representation. Okay. Okay. And just like that, it will tell us, oh, we've made 3 commits. If you want to get whatever is in your local, let's say you made some changes to your local, you can always go back and say just simple git pull, and it will pull from your remote to your local repository. So let's explain what open source contribution is all about. So open source projects are software initiatives where the source code is made publicly available and anyone can contribute to its development and use. So the ways to contribute is to either you fix a bug if you want to, so you can contribute to someone's open source project. So what we just did now by pushing from our local repository to our is that now we have an open source project. So people can decide to make contributions to that. So there are different ways to contribute. So you can either fix, the ways to contribute, you can either decide to fix a bug or improve a code or add features or improve documentation. So the terminologies to know when it comes to contributing to open source projects. So you can fork, which is to create your own copy of another person's remote repository. You can clone, which is now that it is now in your own GitHub account. That is when you forked someone else's repo. You can now download from the remote to the local repository, and then you can just you can commit that. You can okay, commit is it's not part of the process, but you can decide to commit your messages. We essentially explain what commit is, which is to save your current version of your work essentially, and to clone again is to download from that your remote repository to your local repo. And when it comes to open source projects, you can issue, which is just to start a conversation. Maybe you can create an issue beforehand to tell the owner of that project that, okay, I like your code, or I like this project, I want to make some changes, I'm interested. Okay, so the changes I want to make is this and this. So that's essentially creating an issue. That is, if you create an issue before you make the changes, you can always create an issue after you've made the changes. But so we've explained what repositories are, which is essentially where your project lives. And once you've made your changes, done a pull, made your changes, you've cloned, you've forked, you've cloned, you've made changes, and now you've pushed that to your own remote repository. What you now want to do now is to create a pull request, which is telling the person who owns that repository that, okay, these are the changes that I've made. I think it's okay. Do you mind adding it to this your project? And upstream just refers to the original repository. That is the project that you want to improve. That is someone else's project. And then origin, like we've seen in our Git, is just a default remote repository reference. So let's contribute to an open source project quickly. So to fork, clone, make improvements, push changes, and then create a pull request. So let's just do that. And it might seem it really isn't. So GitHub and now let's search for okay, let me go back here. I'll go to someone else's. Let's go to an owner now, who is mm, so let's say I found someone. And okay, 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 okay. They should working. Three. Two.
Hello, please, I can't see your screen. I don't know I'm the only one.
I can still see her screen. Let me see what
Okay,
Mohammed. I don't know. I think that's
okay,
from your
I
end.
don't know what is fine.
okay, I can see it
So
now.
let's find someone else.
All right, thank you. You
Anyone
can
is
continue, Eniola.
let's contribute to someone repository, which is not Eniola total. So no, we are just finding someone else's um, um, account essentially, and then you can just decide to, okay, you like that person's project and now want to contribute to an open source project. I don't know why it's taking it so long. So okay, now I found this person which is not able to, and let's say this is a project that's okay, this is a project that's and say you like the language that you have, and you would like to work on that project, maybe or front developer or whatever, or like to make some contribution to that project. This is whole readme file, maybe and check you like and you want to make to it. Now what you do is that you would click here and put that what someone else is, it just copies that on your personal account. And okay, so I hope I all did that right. Okay, so now we yeah. Okay, now I want to this wonderful person's project on GitHub account. So what we want to do now is we want to clone this tree here and just copy this and go to your this let's say let's cd to our let's know this let's see and now which don't not going to be sending this folder and yeah, so now let's as you can see we say clone be based that and what should happen now is it's clone or copying all that is in the remote repository into our local repository now so that I can work on it and make changes. So what cloning does is that it helps you to make changes on your own device on in your local remote one. So you can just make the changes here comfortably in the environment you are familiar with. And yeah, so what it's doing now, that it's cloning, it's copying everything from our repository, from our fork remote repository. So it seems like done. So what we now want to do is, remember, I think we named it projects. So we can, let's open that. And if you say cd into, I think it's called projects, right? The project file, and we click enter. Now we're moving into it. Let's click ls to be sure it's actually the right. Okay, so it's the one that we've cloned. So now we are currently in our project folder. Forget whatever is happening here. So let's open, let's say the index.html part of it here. And let's make the change that we want. So okay, now, like we said, what this does is that it opens your boom. Now our index normally is actually faster than this, but I think it's because I'm recording my screen. That's why. So most of the steps are actually very fast. So now we're in the index.html part of this repo that we've copied. And let's say I just want this folder and go to somewhere here. Okay, let's just change the title from this. Okay, let's change the title.
Hey, Remedy, yes.
Okay, so let's change the title. Seems like I have to delete it and just click homepage. And what else do we want to change? Okay, let's go to this part of the code and maybe change this header to make remote work. Let's just say now. So you would actually want to change what we've done, but for the sake of this, oh no, I think what I want to do is I'd like want to create actually a main branch. I don't want to do that. So let's undo all what we've done here. And okay. Okay. Let's undo all what we've done. But let's go to a branch and then make these changes that we want. So let's go to a branch and maybe say new features. That's what we are calling the branch now, new features. And okay. So now we are creating a branch. We've created a branch, new features. And like we did before, we are just going to go to that branch, check out branch. Oh, sorry, git check out new features. New features. And now, based off of that, we are now in the new features section. And let's still make the changes that we said would make. And where are we? Okay. Now we're in the new branch. And like I said, I just want to change this to homepage. So let's say you change to be more than this. So now let's just add that index.html file. And what we want to do now is to commit that, where we'll just, and our commit message will be git change title. So git commit -m just change title. Okay, and then we click enter. And now we've made a commit message into this. Now what we want to do now, we're essentially getting into open source now. So now that we've created that, normally we want to would like to push this. So if you say git push, I would like to push this branch, but let's check out into our main. And say, and so here you've made your changes and things like that, so that you cannot tell the person where you've made the pull request. So if you say git check out main git, so let's say I want to push the new features. So that's the changes that we made in that branch. So if we click push new features, okay. Let's say, now I don't want to merge this, so let's go to git okay. Yeah, so what I want to do is I want to push the new features branch. Okay, so let's go back to new features. That it would work here. Check out to new features and say git push new features. make sure you have correct access rights to it. This should work. This should work. Okay, it's time to push upstream. Okay. Okay, I think what I'm supposed to do is say push origin new features, because I don't want to push upstream right now. So I think this should work here. I think I'm supposed to put origin. So this should push this branch to the remote repository. Yeah, this should work. Okay, so now this has been pushed. Yeah, I think I'm the one that made mistake. So this has been pushed, and yeah, so if you go back to our yes, it's telling us that 3 seconds ago we made a change, and now would you like to compare and create a product? This well, okay, so now what we just do is to compare and make pull requests and we've done that. You can just add a message, and then let's say this is the message that we said, and now once you click on create pull request, because you can make more descriptions here, but that for it, but this will check whether there are any conflicts, whether there's no issue with the original file and some owner of the account and then yours. And now, just like that, we've created a pull request to the owner of the account. This should load now. Let us know either comments or so you can come here to make a comment or something like that, but that is basically it. You've actually made a pull request, and so it wants to merge one comment to this from this essentially. So I'm not going to be a network back, but that is what is getting started your open source project. So yeah, that's basically to do open source projects. Before you create a clone, make your improvements, you push, and then that's just it. Apologize for bad network this evening, but all what we've done now, if you follow the step-by-step guide, we are now source contributor. So yeah, okay. That's basically all what there is to open source contributors. So I think we can take questions now. Hello, can you?
All right.
Hello, can
Thank
anyone
you
hear?
very much. Yeah, I can hear you, Eniola. Thank you very much for that wonderful session. It was very exciting, and
Hello, can
I
anyone hear
believe.
me?
Oh my God!
Hello.
Wait, can you hear me,
Okay.
Eniola? Hello.
Yes, I can hear you.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
Yes, I can hear you.
All right. Thank you very much for the wonderful session, and I believe every one of us have learned so many things from what she has said today. So a recap of it, we had she shared her insights about what Git is all about, Git and GitHub, the Git commands, how Git works, and also what GitHub is all about. So I feel we've used like so lots. Okay, what's the count spin? Essentially, I mean it, please. We'll get to that. So I believe some people have questions. So you can raise up your hand or you use the chat box before we get to the count session. So we have just few minutes to the end of this call. So I think if there's no question, we can just move to the next agenda of the day. If you have any question, you can. Okay, Emanuela, you're raising up your hand.
Good evening, everyone.
Good evening.
All right. I had a project on Git, but I realized that when I opened the VS Code, instead of editing or me being able to type on it, instead it was scanning all the words that was already there. I don't know the reason for it, and I've not been able to find out the reason and debug it. It keeps scanning everything on the VS Code. I cannot type on it and I cannot delete. So I don't know what could be the issue.
Okay. So is it like the issue is what command did you like impute that caused that?
I don't really know. I added read me on it, and I installed the Git. I already installed the Git on it.
Okay. So one thing you can do whenever maybe your Git is malfunctioning, sometimes you can just hit or in your terminal you can hit Control C. That does like a hard reset or like a hard what's it called, reboot of the whole thing that you've done so that it starts afresh. So maybe you can try that.
Okay, I will. Thank you.
Yeah. Yeah. But if you have any questions, you can always reach out to me on LinkedIn. Sha. I'm always open to um um getting feedback.
All right. Thank you very much for that, Eniola. Do we have any other question?
Okay.
So if you have any question, you can reach out to any one of us on the Microsoft Learn Ambassador WhatsApp group. I shared the link, so you can check the chat for that. So let's move to the cloud session. The time that we've all been waiting for. So we're having 3 lucky winners from this cloud session. 3 lucky winners will be going with a LinkedIn voucher. Any other, please, the pin for the game. Any Eniola, can you hear me? So you can start joining. I shared the link on the chat.
Okay. Okay, yeah, no problem. So this should go. Can you still see my screen?
Yeah, you're breaking. We can still see your screen, but it's somehow blank. Are you still there? Hi, Eniola.
Yeah, yes, I can.
All right. Okay, so it's
Can you
still
hear
loading.
me?
Yeah, I can hear you. So for anyone who would want to participate in the game, you can click on the link. I shared it on the. Let me share it again.
Okay. I'm waiting for my screen to load so that we can
Sure, no problem.
get started with it. Okay, I'm coming, please.
All right. Okay, I think we are taking much time. Anila, what's the problem? Or should I share? Is there a way I can share that from my end? Can you share the link with me? The one I have is just to join the game. Anila, are you still there? Okay, she's coming up.
Okay. Can you still see my screen?
Yes, we can see your screen. All right, so the pin is 743222.
Can you see now?
Yes, 743222.
Ah. Sorry.
So we have Abdullahi, Ella, Victor. We have just 3 players. Okay. Okay. Oh, sorry. Iman, Abdullahi, Manuela, York. So I think how many is this? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 10, 11. Okay,
So
we have 11 players. So we'll start
the
maybe when we
code will
have
be
15.
open
You said
now.
what? Oh, it says game is locked. Eniola, Eniola, can you hear me? Shit. Hello? Can anyone hear me?
Okay, I don't know why it's taking so long. So let me reload this. Make sure
Oh my god. No, 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 no. This is
other
not right. Some people are still coming in, no.
external browsers.
Eniola, can you hear me?
Okay, so let's start.
Oh my god.
Yeah, I hear you.
Okay, so
I think she can't hear me.
I think it's my network. All right, so this is the pin. Waiting for players to join now.
Oh my god. Eniola, can you see your screen? The game is on already. Wait, am I the only one seeing the game?
No,
No,
I'm
I
just
think we are through
saying.
with the first question.
Yeah, but she's still saying that this is the pin also. I don't know, she's lagging, or is it only from my end?
Why is no one talking?
Okay, so I thought it was from my end.
The
I
last
had like I had to leave and join back. So Eniola, I don't know, can anyone hear me?
yes, I
Yes,
can
I
hear
can hear
you.
you.
So can you hear Eniola?
Nope.
No, we can't hear her.
Are you guys done with the game or what?
Yes, I can.
The second question was too fast. Nobody even answered. It shows zero.
Oh my god.
Yeah, that's what you should. Nobody answered.
Let me try and reach out to her, please. Sorry for the delay.
She's already thinking next.
Okay, so she said we still have 3 more questions to go. So I'm sorry for the challenges we are having. Are we still on the game?
Yes.
All right,
Yes.
thank you. So,
Yes.
Eniola, please continue.
Why the question so fast?
I think this is her network. I don't know why. Oh my God, I should have handled
And
this.
the questions like they are not displaying on our own screen, just on the main screen.
Oh my God. I think this game is. Oh my God. Okay, so I think the game is over, but then it was just somehow. But nevertheless, we still have winners. We have Victor. Um, came first. We have Yoke. Abdullah, please can you signify? Please, Victor, please can you signify? Oh, okay, my boss. Thank you. Congratulations. So, please, who is York? York. Okay, I can't see anything. Yokanan. Okay, info. John Osezua. Okay. And who is Abdullahi? I'm really, really sorry, Naomi. Oh my God. Yeah, I'm sorry, everyone. We could not participate. Usman Abdullahi. All right. So the winners can reach out to Eniola to follow up for their LinkedIn vouchers. So thank you very much for those who participated, and for those who could not complete it with us. I'm really, really sorry for the challenge. So uh Eniola, do you still have any other thing to say if you're still on the call? I, I think okay. Eniola, if you are speaking, we can't hear you. Okay. So I think Eniola is facing some kind of network issues. So I think we'll just have to round it up here. So I'm really, really sorry for the whole um, technical delays that we had today. Really, really sorry. And I hope we don't have this in our next event. And I'm looking forward to seeing you all there. So thank you very much for joining, everyone. The winners, you can reach out to Eniola or you reach out to me to follow up with your vouchers for your vouchers. All right, thank you very much, everyone. I hope we learned a lot and we'll start implementing everything that we learned today. Thank you, everyone, for joining, and do have a great day ahead. Great night, great day. Thank you very much, everyone.